This is the Disaster Recovery Hour. Here's your host, Chris Plunkett.
So we're back from a station break and a commercial break. And my guest today is Michael Venetis. He's the founder of the PrepRoom.net. The site is along what we've been preaching here at the show. It's about having toolkits and supplies for emergencies and disasters that occur unexpectedly in his life, and also with he's got some other items on the site that you can check out that you can purchase, and that can fill your personal needs or your professional needs, whether you have a business to take care of or your home. Everybody's got something to take care of. Mike, I'm glad that you can join us.
Yeah, Chris, thanks for having me on the show.
So, Mike, you're the founder of the PrepRoom.net, and how'd you get into this crazy business?
Yeah, it's I used to be one of those guys who, when people were talking about being prepared for a disaster, I was kind of the person who thought they were just paranoid and kind of on the crazy side, and things are just the more I learn and the more I listen to the news, my wife and I got to a point where we're like, wow, there's a bunch of crazy things going on in this world, and we're not really ready for it. And so really, it just, coming up with this idea of selling emergency preparedness supplies first came out of our own need, where we recognized that we're just highly ill prepared for really anything. I don't even know if we owned a flashlight at the time, and so as we started, building, creating our own emergency preparedness, supply and stock, and talking to other people, realizing that there's a lot of people out there who just are not prepared for anything, and not only are they not prepared for things, they don't even know the things that they aren't prepared for.
Not knowing that they don't know.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So, with that said, you're talking to your wife, and you talked about flashlights and whatever. It was my every 3 quarters, every 3 months, I should say, I get a whole new set of batteries, regardless.
Yeah.
Again, and you're right about those people must be crazy about this preparedness stuff, and I was the same way. Totally. And then I got into the emergency service business and going to people's homes or businesses after fires and floods and anything, a car through a building, trees through buildings, how business owners and homeowners, whether they're, blue collar, white collar, but, really unprepared. And, that simple thing of having a flashlight, I always do a check in my house. I got little guys, I got kids, and they're playing, the cousins and whatnot.
Right.
I can't find a flashlight. I'm constantly on the hunt for a flashlight. It's always, what was some of those movies talk about, the father's always knocking on the door, get out of the bathroom. I'm always saying, where's your flashlight? Because I have it in the back of their doorknobs.
I know what you're talking about. And I learned the hard way about not being prepared. I remember several years ago, we went through a couple power outages that, ended up being very expensive. We had two big refrigerators full of food, and that was probably $500-600 just in food that we threw away, and all these different things, missing work, and so I got to a point where, like, wow, if I had a generator, I could have not only saved myself a lot of money, but also just the inconvenience and hassle. So yeah, it was a bunch of experiences like that I personally went through, and came to the conclusion that, boy, it's a lot better if you're actually prepared for some of these things.
Yeah. If you just joined us, this is the Disaster Recovery. I'm your host, Chris Plunkett. My guest today is Michael Venetis. He's the founder of the PrepRoom.net, and some of the people out there listening, Prep Room, we're not talking about a funeral home. We're talking about emergency supplies and kits and lights, and it encompasses so many things. Now, on your website, and you said, how long you've been doing this now?
Well, it's the website is coming up on a year, but we've been before having the website, we've been doing stuff just face to face with different groups and people. So
face to face, what is a face to face for you?
Well, face to face was really it started out with just our circle of friends and family, and then just saying we actually, like I said, we got to a point where we were not prepared for lots of different things, and so just doing the research on our own and then sharing that with friends and family, and so it was just kind of almost more of a part-time thing for us and where we were just helping, friends and family out, and then we just got to a point where like, wow, this is, I think this we should go kind of full time with this and make this our core business.
Right. I mean, it's almost like, and I always equate it to like a public service announcement. You would, it's like one vote, one person votes. I mean, look at all the close elections in the last couple of years. It's separated by a couple of votes. So just so supplying something or the knowledge or physical supplies to a person, then they're prepared. Just that one person could have had something, or they could have had an experience in their past lives, and then all of a sudden you're talking about just like, oh my God, you know what I did? I had that kitchen fire, or I had the flood from the guy from the third floor, and I didn't have this, I didn't have that. It's for me, it's very gratifying when I go onto these jobs. I spend probably more time than I should. Time is money. But there's a lot of people, in the dark physically, and in the dark because they don't know that our industry exists really. The government's done a great job. Whether I don't care what state you're from, it's a collective bargaining not collective bargaining, but a collective consensus with the states getting out the make a plan, get a kit, that kind of stuff. So let's go back to the websites. What are the things that you're seeing, the items are being sold on a daily basis or a monthly basis, or does it go with the seasons? How do you monitor that?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's first of all, it's kind of our human nature that we don't, out of sight, out of mind, and so until something actually happens to us or someone we know close to us, unfortunately that's when we start thinking about things. And it takes a small fire for somebody to say, oh, I maybe now's a good time to start buying a fire extinguisher, or and so it's generators, happen to be one thing that, in the Chicago area where I'm from, we experienced a lot of power outages this summer. So that was, there was a spike in the sale of generators. Emergency food is a big thing now.
Mm-hmm.
This is for a couple of reasons. There's, the economy obviously is just horrible right now, and it's, from all indicators that I track, it's not getting better anytime soon. And so there's a lot of people who are finally getting on board with that, and they realize that, they're starting to see but they're starting to see friends and family who are losing their jobs and who've been struggling for a while, and I don't care if there's reports saying unemployment's, getting better. I don't see it happening. So what a lot of people are doing is starting to stock up on food. We carry a whole line of Mountain House freeze-dried and dehydrated food, which is great for, it's compact. It lasts, in some cases, it has a shelf life of 30 years. And that's good for someone like me because I like to just buy something, have it there, and not have to worry about, rotating the food out and, having some sort of first in, first out system. And although that's good for canned goods and that sort of thing.
Right.
But food inflation, food prices are going up, and so it just makes sense for a lot of people that they go out and stock up on food and other items that they know they're going to eventually use, and so you might as well buy it now while the prices are still lower, and while the dollar hasn't completely lost its value.
You're right. Well, you talk about the economy. There's a lot of things that encompasses the disasters with correlations to the economy, and one of them is obviously food. So like it's the freeze dried. It's not the MRTs, like they have the military. It's a bit not as hot and brown, and you heat it up and you move on.
Right.
It's got a little more taste to it, correct?
Oh yeah, no, they have some great meals. The MREs, those are those are important too for more of a kind of a grab and go scenario where you have to evacuate your home in a hurry because of a fire or flood or something. But yeah, the other, the freeze dried foods, there's some pretty good meals in there.
If you just joined us, this is Disaster Recovery Hour. I'm your host, Chris Plunkett. Every Saturday between 7 and 8 a.m. Today my guest is Michael Venetis. Mike is the founder of the preproom.net. Check out the website. But getting back to the basic emergency preparedness supplies, Mike, what are you seeing that your hits and people are asking for you, to ship out to them? What are you seeing?
Yeah, so there's and there's a whole bunch of different places that you can go to get a list of what a basic emergency supply kit should look like, just by going to ready.gov, which is the Homeland Security site. They have some great lists that you can pull out. But food and water's everybody should have, for every family member, at least 1 gallon of water per day, and you should have at least 3 days of drinking water. Same thing with food, at least 3 days of food. And then, just there's other things like having a hand crank radio or something where you can recharge. We offer some radios where you can, plug in your cell phone and hand crank. There's a hand crank to charge it up. That's great if the power goes out. Flashlights with extra batteries, first aid kit, having just something as simple as a whistle.
Right.
Get a whistle for 89 cents, and that could save your life. Help the rescue workers find you.
Sure.
So there's a whole bunch of things. And aside from the basic stuff, what I would encourage everybody to look at are, what happens if you had to evacuate the home, right now, you had just a couple minutes to leave. Would you have everything you need in one spot in the house where you can just grab it and go? Do you have, medications for your kids or you?
Yeah, and that's the, it's kind of the broken record thing. But Mike and I got to pick up where we just left off. We're going to go to station break and pay some bills with commercials and be right back.